the time of the virus, or coronavirus tide, as someone wittier put it on Twitter the other day. I know we're all trying to make the best of this time. People are trying to be resilient, as humans always do. Jokes are still being made. Fun is still being had. But all of it feels, to me, at any rate, like trying to entertain ourselves while sitting in a foxhole. What is there to do but steal a few minutes of laughter when you're facing possible infection, the illness, and indeed the loss of loved ones and neighbors, financial hardship or ruin, social upheaval, cultural upheaval, governmental instability? I confess, to me, each day since the start of this thing has felt like a week, and each week has felt like a month. World leaders are using words like crisis, catastrophe, breakdown, devastation, etc. A few days ago, I was emailing with a New Testament professor who studies Jewish apocalyptic literature, and he said to me that this feels like an apocalyptic moment. It certainly does to me. The future often looks bleak in these days, and I am afraid. Friends, today is the feast of the Annunciation, the day when we commemorate and celebrate the angel Gabriel coming to Mary and announcing to her that God has favored her and that she will bear the Son of God. We celebrate this wondrous promise, and we celebrate Mary's consent, her fiat, her willing participation in the redemption of the world. But as we encounter again today an old story which is so familiar, how often do we meditate on just how seismic, just how personally, if not cosmically, apocalyptic this event would have been in the life of this very young woman? I'd like us to imagine ourselves in Mary's place this morning. An angel, perhaps appearing in dazzling fearsomeness, as angels usually do, stands before you and announces that the God of Israel has taken an interest in you. Luke tells us that Mary was much perplexed by his words. That little phrase, no doubt, conceals an eternity of anguish. What does God want from me, you wonder? Might he perhaps be about to ask me to attempt some great and costly sacrifice, like Abraham being asked to offer his beloved child and future in a consuming fire? The angel tells you, don't be afraid. And yet you are. Angels in your scriptures have often been heralds of upheavals. One time an angel was a minister of death. And then the announcement comes. And now you will conceive in your womb and bear a son. Your first reaction is to register the absolute impossibility of this. How can this be, since I'm a virgin? But the angel is ready with an answer. The Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. Therefore, the child to be born will be holy. He will be called Son of God, for nothing will be impossible with God. And now the fears really begin to tumble fast and thick into your mind. You wonder about childbirth itself. Will you survive the delivery? The angel didn't say anything about that. You wonder about whether you'll be able to afford the child. You wonder about the whispers behind your back as your belly grows before your wedding day. You wonder if there will be a wedding day, whether your fiancé might call the whole thing off. And the more you wonder, the more it seems that this angel has come to herald an apocalypse, the complete overturning of life as you've known it. Suddenly the future is a giant question mark. You can't take anything for granted anymore. The script is being rewritten before your eyes. But then you think again about what the angel has just said to you. You will name the child Jesus. In Luke's Greek, Jesus is the equivalent of the Hebrew Yehoshua or Yeshua. It's a combination of the Lord of Israel's proper name and the word for salvation. Adonai is salvation. The Lord saves. That's what the name means. This event that spells the end of life as you know it will turn out to be the event of the world's salvation. Not because you're promised that none of your fears will come true. In fact, you're promised the opposite. A sword will pierce your own soul too, Simeon will say to you in the temple in a few months. But you are promised that no amount of economic and political and cultural devastation that may come, no amount of loss and grief that may wound you, no amount of suffering and pain that may afflict you will from hereafter be able to separate you from the love of God about to be revealed and enacted in his Son, Jesus. The apocalypse has indeed come to you, the apocalypse of an unconquerable kingdom of justice and love, the apocalypse which is the world's salvation. And you know that no matter what happens next, you will live to see the restoration of all things, the forgiveness of sins, the healing of the nations, and the renewal of the earth. The child that will be nurtured in your own womb will be the Lord himself, the Lord mighty to save, the Lord who will die and rise again for your redemption. And so Mary says, "Here am I, the servant of the Lord. Let it be with me according to your word." Amen.